Mr. Chairman, the Development Secretary of MOPED, the Ministers of Government, our development partners, our friends from the United Nations and African Union family, our real heroes, the local actors, the people who are on the ground having an impact on people's lives. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, I bring you warm greetings from the government and people of Sierra Leone. It is indeed an honor and privilege to welcome you to Freetown for this important workshop on localizing the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2063, advancing the principle of subsidiarity in practice. Those who flew in from the United States, South Africa, Northern Africa, and those who flew in from Kailao and Bonn and Kono, you're all welcome. Let me begin to really stress that partnership at all levels is core and important to what we do. And we thank the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, and the government of Italy, and all other partners for their continued partnership and commitment to strengthening governance capacities across Africa. Sierra Leone is proud to host this workshop at this really important time in our development journey. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Africa's Agenda 2063 all recognize a simple and profound truth. Many of the transformations needed to achieve our shared goals will happen locally. It will be felt in our households, in rural areas, and it will be felt by mothers in those households. Municipalities, towns, and communities are not only the front line of service delivery, they are also the laboratories for innovation and the actual touch point on how government is performing. We know from experience that when the SDGs are embedded in local plans, budgets, and institutions, we accelerate towards delivery. And the agenda today covers all of this, all of the basic fundamentals that are essential for accelerating delivery. We also know that subsidiarity, as was eloquently explained by the previous speakers, especially when assigning responsibility to the lowest effective levels of government, are followed through as a principle of governance that will enable ownership, accountability, and innovation. So this workshop is not to come and sign your name and leave at the end of the day. It is not abstract. And in fact, many of you have experiences that you're supposed to be sharing with the other people sitting beside you. It is about aligning our national ambitions with what's regional and taking those national ambitions to local levels so that whether you're in Cambia, Pujang, Western Rural, no one is left behind. As you can tell from our commitments as a government, we've embraced this agenda with great determination. Through the voluntary local reviews in our municipalities, we've already demonstrated that local leadership can translate global aspirations into concrete local action. And we've not kept those to ourselves. We have been able to share our knowledge at the UN ECOSOC. We've also played many other active roles at the United Nations. CEPA, the Committee of Experts on Public Administration, is composed of 24 people who were chosen by the UN Secretary General to advise ECOSOC on public administration. I served in that committee for the last 4 years, and I know how much with the UN we were able to shape how the Sustainable Development Goals is implemented, monitored at all levels. His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio also served as the chair for APRM. And during that period, we saw the transformations that were done at the continental level, not just to strengthen governance, but to build capacity and share Sierra Leone's experience, expertise with the rest of the world. But those things that we share were not abstract. They were largely driven by our own ambitious, highly consultative, medium-term national development plan, which prioritizes decentralization, people-centered governance, and service delivery at all levels. In practice for us, His Excellency President Julius Maada Bio explained those in what he called the Big Five Game Changers: Feed Sierra Leone, agriculture, nutrition, youth employment, labor, welfare, economic development, technology and infrastructure, roads and culverts in your districts and in your villages that lead to those farms and provide jobs for the local workers, and revamping the public service. All of these are all rooted in human capital development. Now, each of these priorities are well linked to the global, regional, sub-regional, national, and local levels. Sometimes it's important to remind ourselves. At the global level, the 15-year SDG 2030 agenda was launched in 2015, September 2015. Those goals, as the UN representative mentioned to us, are at the heart of delivery for our people. Earlier that same year, in January 2015, the AU, at its 50 years, launched the Agenda 2063. And now in 2025, we're at the start of the second 10-year implementation trajectory. In December 2021, ECOWAS, an institution that Sierra Leone chairs now, launched its 30-year ECOWAS Vision 2050. And just a couple of years ago, Sierra Leone launched the 6-year Medium-Term National Development Plan, which has its priority to move Sierra Leone into a middle-income country by 2039. So when we say we will deliver, we understand that we are committed to delivering not just on our 6-year Medium-Term National Development Plan, we are committed to deliver on the 30-year ECOWAS Vision 2050. We are committed to deliver on the 15-year SDG Agenda 2030 agenda, and we're absolutely committed to deliver on the 50-year African Union Agenda 2063. Service delivery does not happen overnight, and we remain committed to our people that on all of these global, regional, sub-regional, national, and local commitments, together we will deliver. But let's be candid, there are challenges and there are problems, and delivery is not a linear path. We believe it should be exponential, and we believe we must accelerate towards those objectives. And when you look at studies, Sierra Leone is one of the countries that has indeed accelerated towards the Agenda 2030 goals. That comes through hard work and not without challenges. Those challenges allow us to innovate on policy, allow us to innovate on delivery, and that innovation can only be shaped by programs like this. I hope the Ministry of Finance is here. Yes, fiscal space is limited. Domestic revenue mobilization is small. The Minister of Planning and I joined His Excellency, the Vice President, at the UN in Seville earlier this summer at the Financing for Development Summit. And I am well informed by the Ministry of Planning that we are going to localize. It means that when the district chairman of people in the private sector to grow farms and build corporations. That is in line and wait and rely on the Ministry of Finance to send money. That money will arrive one day. But before that, he understands that prioritization means working with the young people in his community, with the private sector, to raise new capital. Those are ideas we hope that you can help drive for us. And government, I know I've seen the cabinet draft paper, is already bringing a one district, one industry plan. And these are at the national level where we require you to implement them, and at the local level. Yes, there are data gaps and monitoring. I'm happy to see other operations staff from the councils. We have to harness digitization. You have to pay, force your people, I want to say force, strongly encourage your people to pay their taxes using mobile money. They already receive mobile money from other funds. So if you make it easier for them to pay their taxes using mobile money, using online services, I promise you, you will get more local money. You will, because then if there's a tax ID number for, I'll pay for them on my Orange Money without sending it to them. But if I send them that cash 10 times out of 11, they will find out where they are adopting digital payments. We've also seen that the Bold District Council has undertaken yearly reports, performance reports, self-evaluation. And I strongly hope that all the other councils are learning from this, sharing their reports with their stakeholders so that they can hold themselves and everybody accountable to the commitments that they have. There are inequalities and vulnerabilities. Does it make sense, perhaps, and the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Planning has to come up with new models for how we finance cities. It's not just by population. Calabar needs a lot more money than Western Rural. Not because they're far away or because we want their political votes, but because they're vulnerable and there's inequality and justice. Justice often requires that somebody holds their hand, becomes patient, and allows for those who were left behind to catch up with them. So it doesn't make sense for us to say, oh, why are you giving Calabar a lot more money and us in Freetown, we also need the money? Yes, we know there's limited money, but in Calabar, in Kailao, in Puja, in Bond, in Cariden, they need a lot more for them to catch up closer to us. So I want to thank and highlight as well the mayors and chairmen in those councils who continue to advocate for expanding opportunities for their women, their youth, and ensuring that we do not leave them behind because they are far away and on the edge. I'm going to Koindu this weekend. And part of the reason is I want to go to the farthest ends of our country. I've been to the farthest south, I live in the farthest west, I'll reach the farthest east this weekend, and yes, I will make it to the farthest north. That's what governance is. But we also understand that there are challenges with external shocks, many of which now are hinged on climate. And so we have to be able to work with the institutions at the national and local level, ONS, DISEC, GSEC. Those meetings have to happen. And I want to highlight Bond as a district that has major challenges with climate. And the leadership from the Bond District Council has been tremendous in ensuring that they work with the Ministry of Environment and several other stakeholders to prevent. And I like these districts not because I want to I want to leave others behind, but it's because they truly are examples of what local resource mobilization, responding to climate, local accountability, championing inequality are. And we can all learn from them and learn together with them. These obstacles are not to limit us from our action. As we've seen from the examples mentioned, they rather help us to innovate and and think outside the box. The Minister of Planning is still looking for the box. Maybe there's no box. And we have to be able to work with our partners to ensure that we come up with solutions. And that's what subsidiarity means. That's why it matters. That's why it's rooted in you, the communities. That's why we're here to give you the tools and the resources and the agency, to give you the know-how, to be able to understand how we can each learn from each other, support each other, understand how something that may be seen as a weakness or a challenge can be turned around into transformational national development at the local, national, and global level. And over these 3 days, as you learn to think about practical solutions, we ask that you not hold back to share your frustrations. But when you share your frustrations, finish it with hope. Hope that through action and commitment that you may have learned, you will be able to deliver on any one of those priorities that you have. I want us to really focus on 3 things as we complete this session. Localization is not optional. The Minister of Local Government, on every single time he holds the mic in cabinet, every single time, reminds everybody about decentralization. He, like the government, we understand that it is existential that our national development and our path to being a local, to being a middle-income country by 2039, our path to delivering on our SDGs, ECOWAS Vision 2050, and all of them are shaped precisely on decentralization. Subsidiarity is not about shifting burdens, but unlocking potential. We're not saying we want to take everything from us and give it to you because it's heavy for us. Yes, it will come with fiscal challenges. Yes, it will come with operational challenges. But that's why we're giving you the tools and the guidebook from these training. You know, Minister, I was looking through the guidebook, the workbook. I think both of you should ensure that our colleagues in cabinet also read it and have it. It's not just a tool for the local actors. I would strongly encourage you that you make those workbooks available and potentially engage with it for ministers and other people as well who are in the delivery chain. Because if they don't understand it, then they will always have conflict with the people who are in the room here. And the final point is that partnership, togetherness, unity is the mantra that we should all follow. Civil society, fellow partners, the private sector, and communities have to work together so that we can deliver on our shared objectives. At UN General Assembly 2023, His Excellency told the world that they must practice radical inclusion. It wasn't a statement he made because he was trying to fill his notes. He's understood that the only way in which Sierra Leone has gone through the tremendous transformation that's happened is by focusing on those who are most marginalized. And that's why he's prioritized gender, children, human capital development, redistricting, focusing on the constitutional review so that the solutions we have can reach the most vulnerable and those who need it the most. We cannot get to a more just and inclusive society without radical inclusion. It's not optional. And we must be bold in making our commitments and taking practical actions so that Sierra Leone can serve as a model of how subsidiarity and localization can transform national development. When we do these things, when we sit here when we pass those policies in cabinet, when we roll out these workshops and trainings, when we go out to listen to the people and see the challenges there, when we go to the Kenema Zimi axis to see that to access one of our major UN heritage sites, UNESCO heritage sites, the road is terrible. When you cannot go to Corolla without getting stuck in the mud, when the people of Banff cannot have jobs and welfare because of climate action, when Connaught, the youth of Connaught don't have jobs because there's a mining challenge with one of the companies, we must always look back at how, as local actors, we can champion His Excellency's Big Five agenda. Because those Big Five agenda are extracted from the ECOWAS vision, from the African Union vision, from the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And that's what our commitment is, that we will stop at nothing until every boy, every girl, every mother, every grandpa, every citizen can reach their fullest goals. And together, we will deliver on all of those commitments. Thank you very much.